Imagine a world blanketed in cold darkness, with famine and starvation reaching every corner of the globe. This could be our future.
There are a lot of things threatening life on this planet. Climate change, overpopulation, pollution. But make no mistake, the greatest threat to existence on Earth is nuclear weapons. Period. And for the first time in decades, nuclear war is front and center. Hey, thanks a lot. Assuming, of course, that any of us would still be alive, the immediate destruction would just be the beginning. The impact nuclear war would have on the planet and its climate would make life on Earth nearly impossible. So sit down, buckle up, and maybe put on some brown pants, because this is scary.
Nuclear winter is a theory that examines the effects nuclear war would have on the climate. It was first presented in the 80s and totally scared the shit out of everyone. In recent years, climate scientists like Alan Robach revisited the theory using far more advanced climate models. Don't worry, the results are still horrific. There are roughly 15,000 nuclear weapons in the world today, 93% of which are controlled by the US and Russia. A large-scale nuclear war can involve hundreds, if not thousands, of nuclear weapons. However, Robach focused his analysis on what a small-scale nuclear war involving just 50 nukes would do to the planet. This is the scale of what a theoretical nuclear war between India and Pakistan would look like. The detonation of just 50 nuclear weapons would launch roughly 5 billion kilograms of smoke, dust, and soot into the stratosphere. As a result, the sun's rays would have difficulty reaching the Earth, cooling the planet by nearly 2 degrees Fahrenheit. While this drop in temperature might not seem drastic, crops worldwide would be affected as the seasons shortened. Famine will spread across the planet for a number of years, hitting the poorest nations the hardest. And that doesn't even take into account the devastating effect of radiation in the areas where the nuclear weapons struck. A larger scale war, say between the US, China, or Russia, would usher in a period that would resemble the biblical apocalypse. Globally, temperatures would fall as low as they were during the Ice Ages, with drops of as much as 12 degrees Fahrenheit. The planet would stay that much cooler for years. Scientists say it could have an effect comparable to that of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. There would be so much dust and smoke in the stratosphere that it would be near impossible for plants to get enough sunlight to do photosynthesis. Crops everywhere would be affected. Famine would touch every corner of the globe. As the medical implications of nuclear war points out, the indirect effects of nuclear war far outweigh the direct effects. While the impact of nuclear blasts and radiation would be the thing of nightmares, the fallout wouldn't compare to the billions affected by mass starvation. The study put it this way: if food production were disrupted for one or more growing seasons, there simply would be not enough food to keep most of the survivors alive. Starvation and the diseases and societal disruptions associated with starvation would account for global declines in the human population. The scientists behind this research also suggest that non-combatant countries would be affected most due to widespread famine and starvation. Essentially, every ecosystem on the planet would be adversely affected, and with them, the food and ecosystem services they provide. With less sunlight to fuel phytoplankton in the oceans, entire marine ecosystems would collapse. And with less sunlight, precipitation globally would decrease, and the wheat-growing grasslands would suffer. Likewise, lower temperatures would cause the forests to suffer as well.
Our outlook on nuclear weapons has to change from a hopefully we won't ever have to use them attitude to a we can never use them mentality. There simply is no coming back from a large-scale nuclear war. And yet today, we find ourselves closer to nuclear war than we have been in years. Why? Because we have an adult in the White House who thinks the best way to handle North Korea's possession of nuclear weapons is to, fat shame and threaten their supreme leader in front of the whole world, on Twitter, repeatedly. As the ICAN says, ridding the planet of nuclear weapons is an urgent humanitarian necessity, as no effective humanitarian response would be possible. In the short term, we must urge our politicians to seek a peaceful resolution with North Korea. And for the love of God, to stop this childish schoolyard bullying routine with a trigger-happy dictator. In the long term, humankind must unite and demand abolishment of nuclear weapons once and for all. Because there's no such thing as a limited nuclear war. We will all go down together.